Animal Conservation News. I'm your host, Tristan Tate, and tonight we have a very special feature on one of the world's most endangered mammals, the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat. This species has only around 200 individuals left on the planet, which is critically endangered. So, it's bad news for the people of its native Australia and for the ecosystem it inhabits. This species is an ecosystem engineer, which means that the burrows they creates habitats for many other species. The environment would suffer to lose this species, but so would the Australian people, because to lose any species of wombat would be to lose a piece of the Australian identity. We need to care about how critically endangered this species is because, according to multiple studies, we are the reason why their population is so low. To learn more about this fact and the biology of the wombat, here's a clip.
There are 3 species of wombat in Australia, and the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat, or Lasiorhinus crefti, is the most threatened. They live in complex burrows in deep sandy soils, and they have historically ranged from Deniliquin in southern New South Wales all the way to Mount Douglas in central Queensland. Today they are only found in Epping Forest National Park and, more recently, Richard Underwood Nature Refuge. This species had been reduced to fewer than 30 individuals back in 1971. There are many reasons for this extreme loss of habitat and population size, but most are anthropogenic. Competition with livestock, introduced predators, and habitat loss are all causes of human activity. There is also the problem of droughts and invasive grass species. These 2 factors reduce the amount of nutritious native grasses available to the wombats. Regardless of the many factors working against them, the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat has persisted. This is due to massive conservation efforts implemented over decades by the Government of Queensland and conservation scientists.
And now we go to the field to learn more about the conservation that's being done for this critically endangered species.
I'm Madison McNamara, and today I will be speaking about the conservation efforts surrounding the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat. Because of the wombat's endangered status, the Queensland Government have worked with the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat Recovery Group and volunteers to implement recovery programs to help conserve the population before they reach the brink of extinction. In 1971, the Epping Forest National Park was published. Located in central Queensland, it is set on 3,160 hectares of open eucalypt woodland. This was the primary location for all Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat colonies, until a series of events through the 90s affected the wombat's breeding rates. In response to these threats, the Queensland Government built a 20-kilometre long predator-proof fence around all wombat habitats at the National Park in 2002 to protect the population. In January of 2008, the Epping Forest National Park was isolated by floodwaters that covered much of central Queensland, but luckily most of the wombat burrows were on elevated ground above water level. As there was a significant risk that one natural event could wipe out the entire species at the national park, a second colony of Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombats were established at the Richard Underwood Nature Refuge. The Nature Refuge was published on November 27, 2008, and protects about 105 hectares of eucalypt woodland and old river levees. The first Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombats will fly into the Nature Refuge from the Epping Forest National Park in July 2009. But best of all, in March 2011, it was confirmed that one of the female wombats was carrying a joey no pouch. This was followed by news in April 2011 of a second female carrying a joey. These were significant milestones and indicated that the project had achieved great success at the Nature Refuge. Any reintroduction plan has risks for the individuals involved, and there were real risks that the project would not succeed and that the individual wombats may not survive. However, the effort had to be made to overcome the greater risk to the species. At the last census in 2013, there was an estimated population of 196 wombats at the Epping Forest National Park, as shown in this graph, and the numbers are slowly increasing. It is estimated that there are now approximately 230 Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombats on the planet. Considering there were only 35 wombats left in the wild colonies before these conservation efforts, this has been seen as a great success.
I'm here with Olivia Hamilton, who is a concerned citizen that has a lot to say about the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat. Olivia, you've done your own research. What do you have to say about the caretaking of the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat?
Well, I have found research showing that when they're held in captivity, they do not do too well. The one time they were put into a zoo, it died 7 months later of a twisted bowel. But I have found evidence of successful captivity, but this was with a random cattle owner farmer, and one of the females managed to survive for 25 years.
Wow, that is very strange considering what's happened in the zoos.
I know.
Do you think that they've been doing something wrong?
Well, I think that they're trying their best, but the supplementary feeding trials have been failures, so it seems like there's something wrong with the timing or the amount of food they're giving them.
And have you personally been doing anything to help the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat?
Well, I made a Facebook page in order to get the word out because I think that since this creature is so endangered, it's very important to be aware and to help donate towards the conservation efforts of the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat.
Okay, we're back with our professional.
Early in the 20th century, it was thought that the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat was extinct, until a small population was discovered in what is now known as Epping Forest National Park, and through all the conservation efforts discussed today, the wombat's population have increased, and its threat status has improved from extinct to endangered. Other possible conservation techniques have been tested over the years to help increase the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombats. However, many of these have been proven to be ethically challenging. Cross-fostering is an ethically challenging conservation technique. While it has the capacity to rapidly accelerate breeding and recruitment, the growth of a small captive group of animals can quickly lead to increased levels of inbreeding and genetic mutation, and would be seen as an unethical act towards animal conservation. A 2007 study examined the potential of providing supplementary feed and water to the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombats. The data showed that the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombats accepted the supplementary diet and has shown liking to certain feed types. 2 devices were tested in an attempt to reduce competition for supplementary feed and water from kangaroos and wallabies. One was a mesh roof over a water trough and the other was a wooden box. The roof was successful as big kangaroos couldn't get to the water, however wombats could. The box was also a success. There are currently no Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombats in captivity, therefore there is no knowledge base to draw information from on the captive requirements for these species. The Southern Hairy-Nosed Wombat is in zoos and is closely related to the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat and is often researched as an analogue species. Desired outcomes by 2021 are to ensure the landscape remains intact, stabilised, and to revegetate eroded areas. The Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat's favourable habitat will be restored and expanded through natural regenerations. The park will continue to be managed in union with the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat Recovery Plan. The kangaroo and wallaby numbers will be watched and suited habitats will be linked to assist wombats to move throughout the park. With numbers slowly increasing, the establishment for further Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat colonies will help to further secure the survival of the species. Important routine monitoring and maintenance tasks continue to take place as part of the day-to-day management of the Epping Forest National Park and the Richard Underwood Nature Refuge sites. The department continues to work with the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat Recovery Group and volunteers to implement the recovery program for this species. With the Epping Forest population increasing and second population becoming established at the Richard Underwood Nature Reserve, the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat seems to be on the road to recovery. The search is now in place to establish a third and larger population location. When that is complete, we might be able to say that after many decades of hard work, the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat is safe from extinction.
While it has risen from a dangerously low 30 individuals to around 200, this species is still struggling to survive. Here are some ways that you at home can get involved. Visit and like the Facebook page, Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat, for all the recent updates on this species. You can also donate to the foundation, www.wombatfoundation.com.au, to help fund their recent conservation efforts. Lastly, you can get involved on May 11th by participating in Hairy Nose Day. Join in on this event by wearing whiskers and taking pictures. That's all the time we have for you tonight on this very special feature on the Northern Hairy-Nosed Wombat. I'm your host, Tristan Tate, and this is Animal Conservation News.